Hi everybody, and welcome to the audio version of the Exploration Weekly Newsletter, this time for the week of December 10th, 2021. I'm Renee Meredith, the COO of Exploration Group, and as always, a huge shout out to Heidi So and Jules Ramos on our team for all their hard work on compiling and editing our newsletter every single week. And now, the news. Bill that would have hit record company profits in the UK rejected by British government. On December 3rd, British government MPs rejected progressing a set of legislation, or the Brennan Bill, which contained a number of proposals that would, in essence, have monetarily benefited artists and featured performers to the detriment of record labels with whom these artists had signed contracts. Proposed by Labour politician Kevin Brennan, MP, the headline suggestion of the Brennan Bill was the introduction of equitable remuneration into UK law. The adoption of this ER legislation would have seen a proportion of an artist and musician's streaming revenues bypass their label agreements, including unrecouped balances, and be paid to the performer direct. The bill also called for a right of revocation that would have meant songwriters and artists would be able to apply to reclaim their copyrights from their publisher or record label after a 20-year period, even if the artist or writer in question had previously inked a deal that signed away those rights in perpetuity. Global ad growth forecast for 2021. 2022 boosted, but TV recovery to take until 2023. Global advertising in 2021 and 2022 will end up growing faster than previously expected as the rebound from the coronavirus pandemic continues. This, according to media investment giant GroupM's latest forecast. But TV ad spending looks set to take until 2023 when the firm's estimate calls for it to hit $168.6 billion to reach and exceed the same levels as in pre-COVID year 2019 at $167.8 billion. After falling 3.1% excluding U.S. political ads to $623 billion in 2020, the firm now calls for global advertising to jump 22.5% this year to $763.2 billion, up from its June projection of a 19.2% gain. The better-than-expected gains will continue in 2022, with ad spending poised to grow 9.7% to $836.9 billion instead of the previously predicted 8.8%. In 2025, global media revenue will exceed the $1 trillion mark after hitting $999.9 billion in 2024, according to the latest estimates. Media says indie market shares may be higher than thought. According to a new report by Media, finding a new perspective on the revenue contribution of independents, the global independent label revenue is 9% higher than previously thought when considered on the label ownership basis, i.e., who holds the copyright, not who distributes it. Media says that the majors' previously calculated market share of 66.1% is inflated by the revenue of independent labels, which use the digital distribution platforms that are owned by majors, and is thus then reported in majors' accounts. On this ownership basis, Media has pegged the independent and artist direct market share at 43.1%. That equates to an additional $2.1 billion that, under this basis, is on the indie side of the table. 60% of copyright claims disputed in the first half of 2021 on YouTube were dismissed. 60% of copyright claims disputed by content creators were dismissed in their favor. This, according to YouTube's first-ever copyright transparency report, which comprises data from January through July 2021. There were a total of 722,649,569 copyright claims made through its Content ID system during that time period. 99.5% of those claims, or 718,651,550, went undisputed. In the remaining 0.05%, or 3,698,019 cases, user uploaders disputed the claims, presumably arguing that their videos either didn't contain copyrighted content or that it was under fair use. Out of those 3,698,019 disputes, almost 60% of those were decided in favor of the video uploaders, meaning that the claims were released. Creators' content was left uploaded as is, and no copyright strikes were left on their channel. I'm going to make a little newsreader's notation to this article. It should be understood that YouTube does not automatically dismiss disputed claims. Disputed claims must be reviewed by the copyright owners, and they are the ones who decide whether a disputed claim will stand as is and the claim be removed, or whether they will reinstate the claim. It should also be noted that a claim does not equate to a copyright strike on a channel. Now back to your regularly scheduled news. SoundCloud at the doorsteps of break-even, expects net profit in 2023. In a new interview in the Wall Street Journal, SoundCloud CFO/COO Drew Wilson suggested forthcoming changes, including changes to pricing in early 2022, with the ability for the artist to not only upload, but also distribute some of their music for free. It also intends to solidify its relationships with artists and find more new talent on its platform, addressing a competitive advantage that SoundCloud has always had, but perhaps never fully capitalized on. Artists which later go on to become huge stars often upload their music first to SoundCloud. Notably, Wilson says that the company is at the doorsteps of break-even and anticipates net profit by 2023. Spotify for Artists platform made available in 16 additional languages. Shortly after Spotify expanded its services into Venezuela, Iran, and 4 other countries, the Spotify for Artists platform has now been made available in 16 additional languages. The Spotify for Artists app launched in 2017 and allows artists and their managers to add a canvas, update bios, artist picks, and playlists, and enables them to track the performance of new releases. The update now enables Brazilian Portuguese, Canadian French, Czech, Dutch, European French, European Spanish, Finnish, German, Hungarian, Indonesian, Italian, Malay, Polish, Spanish for Latin America, Swedish, and Turkish. Spotify says it also plans to make more languages available in the future. That's all for me this week. Thank you all for listening, and don't forget to click subscribe for more content from Exploration. And as always, please remember to be kind to each other.